Yes, we're live on Hogg's Vlog. How is everyone? It's been an intriguing test match and things turned very quickly. India put on the back foot by England and it was a great comeback and it sets it up for a very good final two tests in this series. I just love it when a team turns things around. They look as though they are down and out, and then they put the dominant team back on the back foot. So let's look at some of the areas that India can work on before they go to the next test match on Hogg's Vlog. Roll bumper, please, Shubs. Okay, well, India have been put on the back foot straight away. The ship has hit some waves, so there's a little bit of unevenness in that Indian squad right now, but they've turned it around before. Remember, here in Australia, they got bowled out cheaply in that Adelaide test, then they turned it around and won the series. Now, for me, I just felt that they weren't quite as switched on as they were in the previous test matches that they've played against England, and they just let the cat out of the bag and just given England a little bit of momentum. So let's just have a look at some of the talking points that I've got. Losing by an innings and 76 runs, I still think they've got the good culture to turn things around, and it's going to be tested right now on some tough conditions. Rohit Sharma, best opener for India at the present moment. Yes, he's the one that's been surviving and been the most consistent. Look, Rahul in this particular innings or this particular test match, look, he's done a fine job. So let's not just go in there and say, right, well, he's had a bad test match and start worrying about his form. I still think he's going to play a dominant role in the next couple of test matches. But the way that Rohit Sharma has adjusted, playing late, has been unbelievable. And look, I've been one of those players or commentators that have been criticising his form in Test cricket away from India. Even though he hasn't got 100 in this particular series, he has shown that he is a class act and deserves more accolades at the test level when he's away from India. So well done to Rohit Sharma, proving the critics wrong. I just hope he finishes off with a century in these final couple of test matches because he deserves it, just the way that he's adjusted his game. Right, we'll go to the next talking point, Rishabh Pant. I'm a little bit worried about him at the moment because when India were under pressure, I'll just take these glasses off. When India were under pressure here, he looked a bit of there was a bit of confusion in the way that he wanted to go about his innings. So he's trying to be a little bit more tentative. He looked as though he wanted to leave a few more balls, and that's not in his nature. And if you looked at that first innings shot that he played, it was off the back foot, hanging the washing. So what I mean by that, hanging the washing out, he's just dangling the bat out there, just trying to poke it through point. And the back foot was moving out the same time. So that just shows me he wasn't balanced, his mind wasn't switched on, and the same thing happened in the second innings, but this time on the front foot, and he played away from his body. He's either got to say, right, well, I'm going to leave as many balls as I can, or I'm going out there to play my shots. And I think the leadership group in this Indian team should let him play his natural game because he hasn't got enough experience behind him in that defensive game yet here over in England. So just be more aggressive, Rishabh Pant. So that's the big worry moving forward. How are they going to get him on song to play that dominant role? The next talking point that I want to bring up, England against the grain. What I mean by here is that when teams are chopping and changing their batting lineup and sometimes their bowling lines up as well because they're not performing, it just shows there's a little bit of uncertainty amongst that squad. And Silverwood came out at the start of the series and said, look, he likes to give his players one more opportunity rather than dropping them too early. But he's made so many changes in this test series, I just felt India could capitalise on that and really get stuck into the inexperienced or the new players coming in, but also keep control of the game. And I just think with those changes, I just felt India might have just thought things were going to happen because England thought they had the best team in the first test match. The third test, well, that's their second best team that they're putting on the park. So I just think they might have just been a little bit too cool for school and just took the foot off the throttle attacking the English batsmen. But let's just look at the test match. India batted in tough conditions in that first day. There was a lot of balls that got the outside edge going into slips that have been play and misses in the previous two test matches. When the ball's moving around like this, there's a lot of luck, and the Indian batsman was still playing the same way in that first innings as they had in the previous innings. So let's not get over anxious about the situation. It's only the third test match, but the positive was India won the toss, elected to bat in tough batting conditions. At least they're on the front foot with a positive attitude. And I think they can turn it around very quickly. But anyway, let's get into the questions right now. It's great to be joining you yet again. Can we get the first question up, please, Shubs? Okay, I might look a little bit red on the screen as well. I have been travelling around north doing some talks here in WA, and it has been hot, and the sun's been out, and I've been able to get a little bit of a bake here during the winter. Ask Hoggy, do you think Sky is best replacement for Rahane in the fourth test? Look, there's going to be a bit of chat about this. I think Sky is the player to come in that middle order if they want to make that change. But they've got to be very careful with that because Rahane is a very experienced customer. The previous test match that he had a very good innings. He's done the job a lot for India before. Remember, it's 1-1 right now. You don't want to panic and make extreme changes here and there. Rahane, look, we were talking about Pujara, the previous test match, whether he should be changed as well. I still think they've got to go in with the same batting lineup for the next test match. I think Sky is going to have to wait. You've got to back the players that have been in there and done the job before. And I just think in a very, very heated test match, which is going to be at the Oval, the next test match, I just think you need that experience, those calm shoulders right there and then. And with Sky coming in at number 5, remember that you've got PANT coming in at number 6 as well. So you've got 2 aggressive batsmen in a row where with the moving ball, it could be a bit of a risk. I'd rather have Sky coming in at number 3 if you're going to do that. But that's a very good question, Roman. I'd love to see Sky in there. He is someone that I really want to see play Test cricket. He excites me the way that he goes about it, but I'm also a big Rahane fan as well. I played with him at the Rajasthan Royals, love him, and I still think he has got the goods to do the job in the next Test match. Good question there, Roman. Vic London, how you going? Thanks very much for that little donation. Hi, Huggy. The honeymoon with PANT is over. Is it worth putting KL behind the stumps to punish Rishabh for a couple of matches? Look, I don't think it's about punishing PANT. I think it's about what role does PANT play in Test cricket. And if we saw in Australia, it's that aggressive brand of batting. And he does it so well, he turns the game on its head like that. When the ball's moving as it is over there in England with the Duke ball, his technique is being opened up and shown that it's not conducive to those particular conditions. So I think it would be a big risk to have KL keep and open the batting, but it could be an opportunity to say, look, KL, we need you to do this job. He's been very adaptive before. He's done it before. And this could be an opening to bring Sky in at number 6. And that's probably the position that he would best be suited. So, Vic, this is a very good option for India to take. But remember, the workload on KL Rahul is going to be extreme. Keeping behind the stumps and opening in Test cricket is a very, very hard job. And I think KL Rahul is the man that is capable of doing it. So, look, the honeymoon period could be over here for Rishabh Pant over in England, but I don't think they'll make that change the next Test match. If they lose the next Test match, they might pull the cord on the final Test match for Rishabh Pant. But that's a very, very good observation, Vic. Love it. Thanks very much for your question and your little donation. Chandra Mulishwaran 022, how are you going? Thanks very much for joining me, mate. I hope you're having a great day. On day one, it swung a lot. Do you think the pitch slowed down and became flat when England batted, or is it a lack of intent for India batting? No, I just thought the English definitely swung it more. I just thought India, when they bowled, I can't understand why they have Ishant Sharma opening the bowling when his confidence is down. I think when you're in a situation like that and you've been bowled out for less than 100, you've got to go to your two premium quick bowlers straight up, and I thought they could have opened with Shami. I just think he's the best bowler that they've got in the team in these particular conditions, and I just thought if you're going to make inroads early on, you put your most aggressive and your most accurate bowler up front. But that's probably the tactical thing that I thought India lost on the first day. And that generally happens. Sometimes you see the ball swinging in the morning, and then in the afternoon when opposition team get the ball in the hands, it doesn't swing. And the other thing that you could be thinking there too is when the Indians came out to bowl, they looked as though they were trying a lot harder than what the English bowlers were, because they were trying to catch up in the match. They were well behind the match, and they were trying to create those wicket-taking opportunities. And when you chase the game hard rather than sticking to your game plans, that's when things fall away. And I thought Ishant Sharma in particular was just way too wayward. And even Siraj in patches didn't bowl to the quality that we know that Siraj can bowl. So for me, it's not doom and gloom yet. We've got another 2 test matches, and look, these Indian boys will be very disappointed with what's happened, and they'll turn it around the next test, and they'll come out with the same fight as what England did in this particular test. Next question, please, Shubs. So many good questions. Here we go. Harikatik, how you going, PG? Hope all is well with you. Do you think Ashwin should be bought in with the kind of batting he offers in the lower order? This is my first question in this channel. Please answer. Hey, Harikatik, thank you very much for joining me, and I'm glad we've been able to get this question up and answering it. Look, I think with the way that Ishant Sharma bowled, I think they're definitely going to not play him the next game. I think Umi Shadav might even get a crack if they want to go with 4 quicks. I just like his extra pace, and he gets a lot of movement in the air as well. But I think they might be able to change the game plan here and just go, right, we might go in with 2 spinners and play Ashwin at number 8 and have Jadeja at number 7. But remember, Jadeja has got a little bit of a knee concern. Some of his movement in the field wasn't as agile as we know that Jadeja moves in the field, that athleticism. And there could be Ashwin coming in for Jadeja with Ashwin batting at number 7, and then you'd have to play someone like a Thakur at number 8 if he is fit, just to give you that batting depth. So I think Ashwin will get an opportunity in the next test, especially with Moeen Ali just getting a little bit of turn into the right-hander as well. I think that might light up the eyes of the Indian selectors to say, hang on, we might have to go with Ashwin here, just with what Ali is delivering. And Ali doesn't turn the ball as much as Ashwin as well. So there is a good chance that Ashwin will be brought in with his bowling and lower order batting as well. Thanks very much for that, Harry Kartik, and thank you very much for joining me. Christopher Jetty, how are you going? Haven't got a question from you for a while. How many runs do you think Kohli will score? I'm presuming in the next 2 test matches. Look, I'm predicting that Virat Kohli will get 100 somewhere along the line in the next 2 test matches that he plays. I just think he's realised what difference technique he had a couple of years ago compared to now. And I just saw in that final innings yesterday that there were slight adjustments in the way that he was setting up, and he was trying to go back to that success back in 2018. And the thing with Virat Kohli, when he's figured it out, it doesn't take him long to turn things around. So for me, watch out for a big score from Virat Kohli. If Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma get together and have a good partnership, it's going to be very, very exciting, and it's going to be tough for the English as well, and it's going to create a good test match. But good question there, Christopher Jetty. Okay, next question, Srinivas Sagu. Thank you very much for helping me out there with that little donation. When you were still playing, how did you feel was the best way to deal with a loss like that? Actually, I've been, as I said earlier on, I've been around and talking to a lot of people, both kids and adults in different forums around WA, and that were talking about these type of situations. I think when you have a deep loss like this, I think sometimes you just got to walk away and say, right, that was a bad game. That was not our standard. We know that we can play better cricket than that. England got the better of us, and it was all mental. We know that we've got the skills, and let's regroup, get together, and stay calm. And I think if we saw what happened here in Australia last time, this is when you really know whether the Indian culture is the real deal, how they stick together right now and how they come back in the next game. And if they come back strong and put on a positive show, even if they win or lose that next test match, but if they come back more competitive and really put the heat on England, you know that they've got a strong culture. So for me, it's about just sitting around in the change rooms, having a little bit of a chat about the game, but moving on and talking about the positives that each player brings to the team, because you don't want to be moving forward with all that negative energy. You want to finish those meetings on with a lot of positive vibes. And I think that's one thing that you can help within your little areas there as well. When the going gets good, that's where you build really strong cultures, and that's where you get to learn the individuals. But when there's a little bit of a tough situation that arises, that's when you really get to know who's with you, who's for the campaign, and who's not. So this is going to be a big test for India, because they've beaten Australia twice on Australian soil. This is the big one that they want over there right now, this group of individuals, to beat England there. So there'll be a lot of pressure on that particular side of things as well. So there's a lot of heat on this Indian team, but I think they'll be turning around, and I think they'll be calming themselves right now. That's a very, very good question there, Srinivas. For Australia, when we had a bad loss, we'd sit in the change rooms and just go through what happened, and then we'll just say, right, we can't afford to allow that to happen again. We've got to move forward. Right, what do you bring to the table? So, yeah, good question. I absolutely love those deep thought-out questions. Brilliant. Going into the psyche of the game. Okay, Vic London, thank you very much again. Are Indian fans too fickle? They were ready to crown Rahane captain after Australia. Now people are gunning for him. Same with Pujara. Look, there's a billion people from India that follow the game, so you're going to have divided opinions all around the country. And for me, yes, I think it's even in the Australian culture and the England culture as well. When someone is not doing well, they tend to forget about the good performances that they've had of late and are too quick to pull the trigger on getting rid of them. So, yeah, sometimes it comes across as Indian fans do be a little bit fickle. You got to realise over there in England, the way that these Indian batsmen have adjusted to the conditions this particular series is probably the best I've seen them, and that's because they've had the 2-month period before this Test series started. I just think in this particular game, they're a little bit too comfortable with the situation with the lead that they had. They thought that they had England on the back foot. And when you underestimate the opposition, they can come in and take the game away from you just like that. So that's what's happened here. And it won't happen again in the next fourth Test match. Or the next Test match. Good question there. Vic, thank you very much for your input as well. Hope you have a great day. Next question, please, Shubs. Hoggy, can India get in Shardul and Ashwin both in the next game to deepen the batting? Look, I think Jadeja might not play the next game due to injury, not due to performance, just because he's got a slight knee injury, and you could just see that that athleticism wasn't as high as it was previously. You could tell that he was stuck with an injury there with the way he's moving in the field. That's the way I should have put it. But I can see Ashwin batting out number 7, replacing Jadeja, and Shardul Thakur coming in at number 8. And I think that would still be a formidable batting lineup that India have. I think those two can do a job that Jadeja and the present number 8 do. So they're not losing any batting depth there. But what they get with Shardul is more swing, and with Ashwin a little bit more bounce and turn with the off spin. So, and it just adds a little bit of a different variety to the English batsmen as well. So, don't be surprised, Ramanaz, if they make those changes next game. I don't think Ishant Sharma will be playing next game with the way that he bowled, with his confidence in this Test match just gone. Good question there. All right. Shubs, thank you very much. Rowan Yoli, how are you going? Your thoughts on Rohit Sharma's batting in this series? Look, I've been very critical. I'll put my hand up with that when Rohit Sharma goes away in Test level, not the white ball format. And that was one thing that I said at the start of the series. This series is going to determine where Rohit Sharma sort of sits on that list as a premier opening batsman for India, the all-round batsman. We know what he can do in white ball format. We know what he can do on Indian soil with the Test arena. But here in England, the consistent performances that he has put in under the toughest conditions that I've seen opening batsmen being put in, especially when they've batted first, I just think, yep, he deserves to be up there at the present moment as one of the best Test openers going around in world cricket. I still think that he's going to put 100 on the board in these final 2 Test matches. Him and Virat Kohli are going to lead the way, and I could see them probably getting 3 centuries between them and get India in a commanding position to have a chance of winning this series against England. So, yeah, I love Rohit Sharma. Just the way that he's waiting for the ball, waiting for it late, coming under his eyes. And as the series has gone on, he's taking his time to chase those wider ones. He's really setting a good base in his innings. Previous times, he goes after those wider ones a little too early on in his innings. So he's becoming more patient in this Test series, and that's what I love, that adaptability of Rohit Sharma in this particular series. Good question, Rowan. Have a great day, mate. And next question. Here we go. Pema Galston. How you going, Pema? Why we can't have skippers like Ponting and Waugh that opposition face or fear to face them? At least I did as an Indian fan. Look, we had tough skippers, but I've got to say, I'm just going to have a sip of the cup of tea here. Just excuse me. I think Virat Kohli is a very good skipper. I think he's someone that Australia fear. I think he's someone that England fear. He imposes himself. We've only just had one little loss here. So this is where, you start asking questions. And what sets the good leaders apart from the mediocre leaders or the lesser leaders, that's what that word mediocre means, is the way that they come back after a little bit of adversity. So let's see how Virat Kohli gets his troops ready for the next game, and then we'll make the assessment on that. But I just think England still fear Virat Kohli, his dominance, the presence he imposes out in the middle. And I know if we're playing as an Australian playing against India, Virat Kohli is going to get under our skin, and Virat Kohli is going to cause us a lot of problems because he's leading that team that is creating a culture that is hunting in a pack mentality and really being aggressive to the opposition. And that's what I love about this Indian team and the way that it's led by Virat Kohli. Okay, that's all we've got for you, folks. Join us next when we preview the 4th test. Now, you guys have a good day. Don't be too alarmed that India have lost. Remember the first innings, it was tough. They didn't have any luck on their side. There was edges there that normally were play and misses in previous tests, and the fortunes would change in the next test match. So just stay calm, guys. But see you soon and stay safe. Have a